Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. A nice sunny day today. I thought we'd start this video in the plant room where it's nice and sunny and warm. I haven't been in the plant room much this winter for the videos. I've been out in the greenhouse most of the time. I'm going to start with some updates today so you can see what's happening with some of the projects in the plant room. I'll start with my Australian umbrella tree. In the last video I leaf pruned it. I repotted it. I put these columns of soil under the aerial roots so they would grow down to the ground. I put all this sphagnum moss around to hold the soil in here. You can see it's leafed out once again. So everything's doing well on it. Nice and healthy. So I've just got to wait, I don't know how long I'll have to keep all this soil around the aerial roots and that, but I would think I could take this all away by midsummer probably. I may even leave it on till the end of summer just to make sure everything's rooted properly. It all depends. I guess if it's growing really strongly over the summer, I can take it away earlier, or I can at least, slit down the tube here and start exposing a bit to see what's happening with the roots. So the plant's doing very well. I'm pleased with its progress. It should get some nice sunshine later on today. Beside it, I have my ficus plain, the one I call plain. So it's doing really well. Also, the canopy up here is coming out into leaf. You can see there's new shoots all over it. So yeah, I think it's going to look quite nice. I think it'll grow really well this summer. I'm going to repot it. I think I'm going to have to do some pretty severe root pruning on this year. It always had a bit of a funny root system, and I think it's probably time to correct that. So yeah, some root work coming up for that tree for sure this year. Beside that, I have my ficus cutting of a cutting. It also has a lot of new shoots coming out on it. New shoots all over. Starting to grow again. I gave it quite a pruning last time. It's starting to look pretty good. Up here I have my guava tree. It has come out into leaf once again. You can see the exfoliating bark is just flaking off like crazy. Look at that. It's like a reptile or a snake shedding its skin. Amazing. Yeah, looking really healthy, growing really well. My guava will also be getting repotted this year. I did a lot of root work on it last time I potted it, trying to get a nice radial root base. So I'll continue working on that, and I'll probably put it in a different pot. This is more a semi-cascade style pot, but it's a good pot for growing it in. Way over here, I've got my lychee tree that I got from Zinn, and I did really, really severe root pruning to it last time I repotted it. And it's not dying. That's all I can say about it. It's not dying, so that's a good sign. They kind of go dormant this time of year. It's not their growing period. So I'm expecting it to recover because, as I said, it hasn't died. And once spring hits, I think it'll just grow like crazy once again. So I think it's made it. It's not 100% sure yet, but it's certainly looking, okay. Way down here, I had an acacia tree that was growing in one of those seed trays. It was really, really tall, and I cut it back hard. I did some root work on it and put it in a bonsai soil in a bonsai pot. And you can see it's leafed out once again. It's looking really good. So I'm so glad that survived. Now, this acacia tree, if you remember back, it was a couple of years ago, I went and visited, I think it was Allen Gardens in Toronto. It was at the Cactus and Succulent show. And there was a big acacia tree growing in there, and it had all those seed pods on it, and I didn't dare take a seed pod off the tree because I'd probably get in trouble or something. So I was kind of disappointed. And then I noticed in the pathway where everyone was walking, there was seed pods laying in the pathway that had fallen off the tree, and I thought, well, surely they can't mind me taking 2 seed pods off the floor there. So I did. I put them in my pocket, and and out of those 2 seed pods, I got 2 trees growing. One didn't make it. It kind of withered away. But this one did, which is just amazing. So, yeah, that's the story behind that tree. I hope I don't get in trouble for taking that seed pod off the ground. I don't think so. I mean, it was right in the pathway where everyone was walking, so better to, have some good come out of that seed pod laying in the walkway than it just getting stepped on and mushed into the ground. Over here, I have my Ficus lyrata, my fiddle leaf fig, and the last time I worked on it, I pruned the top off to a new shoot here, my new apex to the tree. And it had 2 branches on it. I cut the branches back, and now you can see there's a new shoot coming in on that branch. Nothing coming on this one yet. And the apex also has a new shoot growing in. So I'm hoping all goes well with it. I did remove some lower branches on it. So it looks like it's doing well. Just above my fiddle leaf fig, I have my Ficus microcarpa, the one I grew from a seed. And it's getting giant. I don't know if you get an idea of how big it is, but it's huge, the canopy on it. And it just keeps growing. As soon as you get sunlight in the plant room, I just notice, it starts growing again, which is good. I'm going to grow it even larger. It's in a big pot that I got from the bonsai supply from Jerome and Mari. So it's got a huge pot under it. So I can grow this tree quite large. So I'm just going to let this canopy grow again this summer. I might do some pruning to it, but it's definitely in a growing phase, this tree. I want to thicken it all up, and it'll be one of my larger bonsais. So look at the roots down there. Yeah, it'll be growing as a large bonsai eventually. Now, that doesn't mean I won't be cutting it back hard. Eventually, I'll have to do that. These branches will get kind of long and without much taper. So eventually, this whole canopy will get pruned back hard to, a small, compact, rounded form. And then it'll be allowed to grow again. So it'll be, clip and grow through the years, building up that taper and movement in the branches and ramification. My other Ficus microcarpa, the one I call Fancy, I did a lot of thinning to it before I brought it in for the winter, and it's also starting to grow and fill out again. It really loves these sunny days, so it's doing really well also. I brought my Sarissa up from the basement. You can see it in the sunlight here, and it's just starting to grow now. It's been up here for just over a week, I think. And already it's responding to the warmth and the sunlight. It's got all these new leaves growing in, so that's kind of exciting. I didn't want to leave it dormant in the basement for too long. I don't know. I did that last year. I brought it up earlier too, so it started growing in the plant room. Yeah, I don't know how much dormancy they can handle, but I thought, it's the end of January almost, and I thought, I'll bring it up and start warming it up and growing it. I think it's had enough of a rest period. That's what I did last year, and it grew really well over the summer. So that's the story on the Sarissa. Back into the sunshine and the warmth. Speaking of acacias, here's my forest that I grew from a seed over here. I pruned them all back before I brought them in for fall. They had no leaves on them. They had already dropped their leaves, actually, outside, and now they're all growing in again, growing like weeds once again. So they're doing quite well. Very happy with the growth on those. I've got my Schefflera here on my spinning tree bonsai turntable. The one Adrian sent me. Wonderful turntable. So I'm trying to keep these aerial roots misted. So on the turntable here, you can see the aerial root hanging off the edge of the pot here. And there's a whole bunch hanging off the branches here. So I just missed it. Here, I'll show you. I spin it. and mist. You can see there's an aerial root growing across the trunks in there. That's really cool. Yeah, lots of aerial roots. So I'm trying to keep those alive. Kind of babying the tree, misting it a lot. And yeah, you can see all the roots hanging down in there. So it gets good sunlight from the windows here. And then on the other side, it's got that UFO light from Connor that lights up this side. So it's getting good light. And I can rotate it around whichever side needs light. So right now I'm kind of lighting up the back side with the sunlight because I want this to fill in a little more at the back. And beside that, I have my ficus, my Frankenficus or fusion ficus. Let me get in there. It's doing really well. So same thing, I've got the UFO light above it here, shining on this side, and then I get the sunlight on this side. So it's growing out fairly evenly. It looks really, really healthy. Amazing. In fact, I can see early spring it's going to need a pruning, trying to build up that structure, which will be a long process getting, a beautiful branch structure on this tree, but it's going to be worth it. I think the trunk and root base is just looking really good. And I just got to get the top filled out and sorted out, and it'll be a really nice tree. My ficus root over temple, a strange thing happened to it. When I initially did the hard pruning on the trees, I had 2 of the major trunks die back to nothing, and 1 trunk survived, and it shot out a whole bunch of shoots. And now, all those shoots have died off. You can see in here, these are all the initial branches that it shot out. If you can see that. And they're all dying off. And then new branches are growing in now on top, really thickly. So I don't know what happened there. Why all the old branches died off and now it's growing new ones. All I can think is that when I initially pruned it, it sent out a whole bunch of branches, and then as it reorganized the living tissue, maybe some of those branches weren't destined to make it, and it's sent out a whole bunch of new ones now. So interesting. It looks really good. Like, it looks really healthy. I don't anticipate any problems with it. There's always a chance it may not make it, but so far it's doing really well. I'm happy with it. Over here we have the monkey ear trees. I pruned those back before I brought them in, quite short, and now you can see how much they've grown again. These trees grow incredibly fast, especially that one in here. I don't know if it's the genetics of it, but the biggest tree, you can see how tall it is. It seems to grow about twice as fast as all the others, and these are from seed. So yeah, this will be their 4th year. They're building up big trunks. Really cool trees. They're kind of similar to the Brazilian rain tree in looks, but maybe a little larger leaves and more vigorous growers. Yeah, I really like them. All the leaves fold up at night. They're really cool plants. Speaking of Brazilian rain trees, it is actually budding out now. Finally. I'm getting new growth on it. I don't know if you can see it in there. Right here. There's buds all over it, and now they're starting to come out, which is nice to see. It's looking a little sparse at the moment, but I think once all those new buds come in, it's going to fill out and look quite nice, because a lot of the older leaves have dropped off on it now. They went yellow in fall, and they're kind of dropping off as the new growth is coming in. Down here is my Snow Queen hibiscus from Connor. I did some really hard pruning on it. You can see it in there. Looking really good, getting all kinds of new branches. Looking very miniature and starting to look more like a tree. So really happy with the growth on that. And over here I have my yellow hibiscus. Here it is here, and the same thing, I did some hard pruning on it. And it's coming back really nicely, all kinds of new branches. looking good. Nice to see. And it's also beginning to look more tree-like rather than a nursery plant. Beside my Sarissa here is my silk floss tree. Here it is. It's growing in fantastically. So I did a hard prune on these before I brought them in for the winter, and they were dormant down in the basement. And again, I felt sorry for them, and I brought them up to start warming them up, and they just exploded in growth. You can see all the new shoots coming out on them. Actually, that's my kapok tree here. But yeah, new shoots growing out all over them, looking really, really good. Down in front of the light down here is my Cityscape Penjing. All those trees are looking good. I did lose 2 trees in the forest here, and I think it was from lack of light and maybe lack of water. I'm being very careful watering them now, and they've got this light shining on them. And so far, they're doing all really well. So I can always replace those 2 trees that died with cuttings. Down here is my crown of thorns. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's beginning to come into leaf now. There it is there. The silhouette of it anyway. Yeah, it's starting to come into leaf again. There's all kinds of new leaves coming out on all the branches. So that's exciting. It looks like it's doing well. The jade I repotted, my flowering jade, is in here. It's also doing really well. Still got lots of flowers on it. They're starting to fade away and it's starting to grow again, the tree, but it was nice while it lasted, those flowers. And they last a long time. You know, a couple of months, which is pretty good. Down here I have a lemon cypress from Bonsai J. This is the only one that's survived. He gave me a tray of cuttings, and the other one's just slowly withered away, but this one's doing really well. So I'm glad I got one out of the group of them that survived. My Norfolk Island pine forest here. You can see the new growth coming out on it. That'll need pinching soon. You don't want to get the tops too vigorous, otherwise the bottoms get weak. So you've got to manage that cone of vigor, keeping the tops tightly pruned, letting the bottom branches grow a little more freely. Over behind the Schefflera, we've got the lithops down there. They are doing really well. There's a look at them. Yeah, some of them are getting big and juicy looking. Yeah, really cool. Interesting plants. My Ming Aurelia that I got from Derek is still doing well down here. Check that out. It's looking really good. Awesome. That little ginkgo seedling, it's doing well too. You can see it down there. There's my mini pencil cactus. It's doing really well also. And my rat tail jade down here is getting quite long, and the trunks are actually getting woody on it. So it'll be really interesting to see what I can make out of those in the future. Interesting species. Over here on top of the rain barrel is my aloe bonsai. Getting quite monstrously large. You can see how big it is. Yeah, I got a lot of pruning to come up on this. You can see in here, there's kind of a branch that goes horizontal. It's got all kinds of cool aerial roots on it, but it doesn't fit in with that kind of upright design. So I think I've got to remove that and do some sorting out of some of the trunks and that. Yeah, give it a bit of style. Right now it just looks like a big clump of aloe. But underneath there somewhere is kind of a cool bonsai. So maybe remove some of these lower leaves and that. My rain barrel, remember I had it full? Well, it's getting down close to the halfway mark now. So, yeah, I've got 30 gallons or 113 liters left. So hopefully, you know, we'll get a thaw soon and I can fill it back up. I always get worried when it starts getting below the halfway mark. I don't want to run out of rainwater. Yeah, so that's some of the updates in the plant room. Everything's doing well. I don't think I've really killed too much. This is the pile of the lemon cypresses from Bonsai J that aren't doing well. There's one at the back that's still green. This one here, but not much. I don't know what happened to them. I had them over here by the window, and maybe they just got too cold. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. And these other ones, these are the Madagascar jasmines. So these are cuttings, and then this is the original plant. I'm hoping it's all right. I don't know. I could scratch it and see if there's green under the bark, but I'll just leave it. If it takes off, it takes off. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Behind that are my baobabs. They're just sitting there drying out for the winter. They'll just sit there dormant all winter until spring comes, and then they'll start growing again. My other baobab is over here. It's with those hibiscus that I started from seeds, the Hawaiian hibiscus. So I've got one Hawaiian hibiscus there, and then I've got two of them, 2 or 3 over there in a forest way back in there. I can just get into water, and they're doing well. They should be fine. My bullhorn acacia here is doing really well. That got a pruning. It needs another pruning soon. But yeah, it's doing well. My Natal ficus back there, still doing quite well. I don't know why that one branch is kind of yellowy on it. I'm going to investigate that when I pull it out. I think it's just, I don't know, maybe it was too cold there on the one side. I don't know. It should recover. I think there's all kinds of buds on it. Yeah, there's all kinds of buds on it. So once it starts growing again, it's kind of just dormant in here. It's too cool for it. It'll start growing and should green up fine. Way down under here, I don't know if I can get in here. Between here, there's my wild almonds. I've got 2 of them growing down there that are doing well. So the third one didn't survive, but the 2 are growing really well. And then my Jerusalem thorn trees, the trunks are still green on them, but the leaves are all falling off. So I'm not sure if they're just waiting for spring and warmer temperatures before they start growing or what. But I just keep watering them. Just keep watering them, and hopefully they'll recover and grow over the summer. I should update my bougainvillea here. This is the one I defoliated, root pruned, repotted, changed the front. This is my pink pixie bougainvillea, and it's doing awesome. It's doing really well. I'm very happy with that. You can see it from down here. Maybe. Right there. Yeah, doing really well. My Portulacaria afras, they're also doing really well. And my trunk scarring worked really, really nice. It's awesome, in fact. I scarred the trunks down there to kind of give it that baobab look, like the elephants have scarred the trunks. Kind of put some gashes in the trunk with my scissors. And yeah, it's healing over really nicely. I don't know if you can see that. There it is. Yeah, they look really good. So I'll be doing that to the front in the summer. I got some nice gifts in the mail. The first one is from Scott Winard from the YouTube channel Let's Do Bonsai. He sent me a bonsai starter kit, a deluxe one. It's in a wooden box. It looks really awesome. So once it warms up a bit, I don't have any room in my plant room here to plant any more pots. So I'm going to wait till I can do it outside in the greenhouse, and we'll get this starter kit going. It looks really awesome. You get some really nice trees in it. There's a look at the trees you get. 4 different species. So that looks pretty cool. So thanks a lot, Scott. That's awesome. I also got some seeds from Emmanuel in France. And he sent me some Rose of Sharon seeds So that's really cool. And some Persian silk tree seeds. So thanks very much, Emmanuel. And again, I'm going to wait until spring before I plant all these seeds, because I just have no room anymore in my plant room. I'll do one last update now, and that's my hibiscus bonsai. Behind my ficus is my hibiscus bonsai here, and these get sunlight later on in the afternoon. You can see it's doing really well. There's all kinds of new leaves coming out on it. I don't know if I can show you much more. It's kind of back in here. There's the trunk and the branch structure. Doing really well. My yuccas back here are also doing really well. They're growing well this winter. I was going to chop them when I brought them in for the winter, but I decided I want to get them really, really strong before I chop them back. It's going to be quite a severe pruning. So I'm letting them grow in the plant room this winter. Last winter I had them in the basement, and they kind of stayed dormant all winter. So this year I've brought them up in the plant room, and they're growing. They'll get the sun later on this afternoon too. And then I can transition them outside. And when they start getting that full sun and warmth, I'm going to cut them back really severely, back to just, basically the stumps and a few branches. And then we'll see how they fill in. I hope it fills in with all kinds of new branches. They're kind of unpredictable, the recovery of these yuccas. But yeah, it's getting too big, this forest, and needs pruning. It's been so nice in the plant room here on a sunny day. I think this is just an excuse for me to hang out with my tropical trees today and make a video. So that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.